Hello, my name is Lee Berg, and today we have another MMS speaker interview. Today I have some representatives from Platinum sponsor 1E. Today we have Shawn, Troy, and Mike. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey,
Hey,
Lee.
you want?
Hey, so it's kind of interesting. You have a sponsor session this year because you're a Platinum sponsor, and then you also have a lot of individual sessions. So you guys are going to be really busy at this year's conference. But before we talk about the sessions, if we could just get some quick introductions, tell us what you do over at 1E and just let us know who you are.
Great. My name is Shawn Cardamon. I'm a solutions engineer with 1E. So I regularly go out to existing and new customers and make sure that our technology aligns and make sure it adapts to the environments in which we accelerate configuration manager.
Hello, and my name is Troy Martin. I'm a product manager with 1E. I've been with the company for a little over 5.5 years now. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. And primarily my role as a product manager with 1E is to provide direction for 1E technologies in the areas of assuring their qualities and their abilities in managing some of the complexities of managing hardware, systems, end users, and other endpoints.
And my name is Mike Terril. I've been with 1E for about 7.5 years. Started as a consultant for about 7 of those years. Recently transitioned into product manager role myself with Troy as the Windows migration and application management PM.
Okay, so let's talk about your sponsor session. Shawn, if you could tell us a little bit about the 1E sponsored session called World Class Solutions for Real World Problems.
Absolutely. So that session in and of itself is us coming out to really have a discussion, right? So what we want to do is talk about, of course, we're going to talk about the suite of products and solutions we deliver from 1E. But the goal we really have in this session is that we want to talk about what problems are existing or what challenges are typically existing within enterprise IT, specifically where configuration manager is involved. Talk about a couple of areas where there's maybe some better efficiencies, more automation. In any case where we can, streamline IT functions and allow configuration management or systems management, to scale out to the business as quickly as possible. That's the kind of conversation we want to have, right? And that's not going to entirely involve 1E solutions. We're going to talk about configuration manager in general, but also where our solutions come into play there, right?
Yep. Okay, and I do just want to watch let the people at home know that if you want to hear a little bit more about maybe some of the products that may be covered in that session, go ahead and check out the 1E sponsor video, which should be up on the channel shortly after the time when this video is actually posted. So, Shawn, unless you have anything else to add about that presentation, let's jump over to Troy and talk about his session called Pixie Booting in the Real World.
Thanks, Lee. So actually, this session, Pixie Booting in the Real World, is a session Mike Terril and I are doing together. And basically, when you think about it, well, first of all, UEFI, Pixie Booting in the Real World, the focus here is going to be what is required to actually set up Pixie Booting within a config manager R2 environment, 2012 R2 environment, both supporting legacy Pixie booting as well as UEFI support. UEFI stands for Unified Firmware, Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. And when you think about Pixie booting itself, it reminds me of a fax project that I had some almost 15 to 20 years ago. Let's just face it, faxing is boring, right? It's boring because it works, right? It doesn't do anything very glamorous. And Pixie is kind of the same way. It just works. But it's part of an OSD process in a limited fashion, but it is very important. But let's be honest, it's kind of boring. So, this session, we're looking to kind of jazz it up a little bit. Let's make it exciting. So we want to drill down into UEFI, what it takes to actually Pixie boot. We'll do some deep dives around network captures, what ports are necessary, how are boot images handled during conflict resolution when you have multiple advertisements assigned to a specific collection. We want to highlight ports and ports that are used, the flows, what's required in terms of opening up ports and routers should that be necessary. And then finally, we'll also go ahead and really introduce the audience into how 1E solves Pixie booting within the real world as well as how it integrates within Config Manager.
Cool. I like that line where you talk about it kind of being like facts. That sounds like a really cool session. So next up, we have Mike. Let's tell us a little bit about hacking the task sequence. What are you going to be doing with task sequences?
Yeah, so hacking the task sequence, that's not a topic that you could do in a traditional Microsoft conference. I don't think they would really endorse hacking the task sequence, so to speak. But throughout the years of doing OSD projects, there are things that you run into in the real world that you just can't get around with kind of traditional methods of the OSD task sequence. So in this session, it's not necessarily about hacking per se, but we're going to show you some tips and tricks that we've developed along the way on getting certain utilities always available in your boot images, taking a deep look at the OSD task sequence variables and kind of see what's actually going on under the hood, so to speak, of the OSD task sequence. Lastly, we're going to get in and show how to solve certain problems, that you encounter, and how to tweak some variables and different settings to make the task sequence really work the way that you want it to work.
Cool. Sounds great. And then we're going to go ahead and jump back to Shawn now. Shawn, can you tell us a little bit about advanced application management?
Absolutely. So I'm very excited about this session. So we actually, and we also have a white paper on this topic over on 1e.com. So really, when the advent of the application management model, which many of us knew it as the app model back when during the TAP days, but so with that new introduction, with that new feature set, right, there are many different ways to really enhance how you manage applications within the environment. Right, that's packaging with deployment types, making sure the content only goes down when it needs to. Dynamic methods of targeting end users. Right down to supersedence, retirement, all that stuff. Right, so you can actually provide proper application catalog management, within Configuration Manager now, and that's a huge leap forward from package programming. So, but the other piece of this is when we look at it from an application deployment perspective, right, and long-term management of said deployment. There, we've through our experience working with a lot of 2012 customers and customers moving from 2007 to 2012, when you apply the demands of the business to this new deployment model that's offered in 2012, there's one big gap a potential gap we found. And I say gap because there's a lot of work you have to go to make sure that you can make sure applications are deployed when you need them to be deployed, right, when they're core critical, but also deploy applications so end users can consume them, and which is all there within the base functionality. But there's this middle ground, right? So there's this piece where I know end users need software, but I don't know if they're going to need it long term. So with that current model, if I deploy, via required, it's just going to be there, right, until I eliminate said deployment. So there's a free tool we're going to be announcing at this time from 1E, and it gives you a little bit more of a dynamic means of managing applications when they should be enforced and when they shouldn't be enforced, and not just having that be a deployment level decision. But yeah, going to be a great session. We're very excited about it.
Cool. Awesome. So you mentioned a white paper too. We'll make sure to include the link to the white paper, links to all of the sessions that we're talking about here today in the video description. Guys, like I said at the beginning of the video, it sounds like you guys will be very busy at the conference this year. You have a lot of really cool sessions. I want to also say thank you to 1E for being a platinum sponsor, and thanks guys for submitting all these pretty awesome sounding sessions. So we'll see you guys at MMS.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lee.